Thank you so much for joining me again on Show Me the Truth. What I want to do right now is I want to address this to those who are saying that we should, as Americans now, that we should obey the tyrannical and sinister mandates of our government. We're wanting to go into the book of Romans, chapter 13 and verse 2, and then we're going to talk about our government. All right? Since Paul does, okay, he addresses the government and how that we should obey it. And let's go ahead and get into what we should obey when it comes to our government as Americans. All right? Paul said in verse 1, "Let every soul be subject unto the higher powers, for there is no power but of God. The powers that be are ordained of God." Now, get this. I'm going to highlight this because it shows up at least 2 times in our reading. Is that right? So, we'll stay right there in verse 1. Now, what is our government? It's a government of the people, for the people, and by the people. And it was the will of the forefathers that this type of government, our constitutional republic, should not perish from the earth. And so when you're talking about the higher powers, right? Let's go ahead and highlight that in green. When you're talking about the higher powers, many people think that this is a kingship or a democratic society when it is not. It is a constitutional republic, meaning that the Constitution is the king, the law is the king, and not a man or a woman. But the law is the king. And so when you have that higher power, look at that, because remember, the Constitution is what? The highest law of the land. And when you realize that our government was placed in power to do what? Secure the rights of the people. Then you realize that when Paul said, "Let every soul be subject unto the higher powers, for there is no power but of God, the powers that be are ordained of God," then you realize, wow, the Revolutionary War was of God. There were a bunch of men that wanted to break off the tyrannical grip of Great Britain. And so when Paul said, "Let every soul be subject to the higher powers," absolutely. Let them be subject to the higher powers. But where is the power? Where is the authority? Folks, the Constitution said the authority is actually within the people, because it's the people that elect the representatives to serve the people. Not to be served by the people, but to serve the people. Now, what does that sound like? Jesus said, if you want to be chief, if you want to be great in God's kingdom, let him be the servant of all. I like what it says in the first part of verse 2. "Whosoever therefore resists the power, resisteth the ordinance of God." So there are those that resist this and say, no, you should go along with the tyrannical mandates because the government said to do it. Not if it goes against our rights according to the Constitution. That's why it pays to be educated. That's why you can't believe the people that say that this is not a Christian nation. That's why you have to read, folks. That's why you have to stop being ignorant of what our Constitution says and what our laws say and what these statutes have been put in place for. My people perish for a lack of knowledge. Folks, let's not perish for a lack of knowledge. Let's not be enslaved for a lack of knowledge, as it says in Isaiah chapter 5. But let us be empowered by knowledge. Let us be confident, and let us show forth the truth. Let every soul be subject unto the higher powers, for there is no power but of God. The powers that be are ordained of God. Thank God. God bless you. God loves you. God smiles when he sees you.